Dickerson.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner.
Hey, I'm Zane Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
You're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're listening to the Harris Highlight Show. Enjoy it.
Na 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 na.
Coming to you live from the beautiful Chateau in gorgeous Monrovia, California. This is the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our college football expert and analyst, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Clayton. I'm your host for the evening, Blake Harris. Our Ontario Reign play-by-play broadcaster, Josh Schaefer, will be joining us momentarily as well. Well, boys, we're into November somehow already. We have a very fun show ahead because for those longtime viewers of the show, they know that our best shows personally are when we have things to debate, things to argue about, things to lose our minds over. Normally that's the AP poll, but in recent years we've been able to refrain. We've held back just a little from the AP poll because we know it's not worth our time and effort. But the college football playoff rankings, those are certainly worth our time and effort. So we're going to be breaking down the first week edition of the college football playoff rankings that were released 2 days ago. Normally, whenever we do our shows, we usually do them on Tuesday. So we always have like our immediate reaction. But we're on Thursday tonight. So we've had a couple of days, which might be kind of even better. We have had a couple of days to sit back, take in the rankings, hear from other people, hear what they have to say. So you actually might be getting some better thoughts and opinions on these college football playoff rankings. If you guys have your thoughts on the college football playoff rankings, let us know in the comments down below. We'll show some of your comments on the screen as we're talking about the rankings throughout the show. But before we get to that in a couple of minutes, how are we doing this week, boys? What's the latest over there?
I'm doing well, no complaints. I'm more curious to just jump to Brady and hear about his experience in South Bend.
That's true.
Yeah, man, that's a good point. You know, I'm not in my normal studio. I got some friends.
Yeah, art.
Got some friends. Art, get it? I'm out in Arizona right now, chilling on a little vacation, some time off. South Bend was electric, Lyle. The campus itself, very pretty, gorgeous. Me, went to the Basilica and the Grotto. Think about that. Yeah, think about that. Just think about it. A Jew in church, very funny. Anyways, very cool. The game was awesome. It was a really good game too. I mean, that was one of, I think, the best games from the weekend. It was close almost the whole game, and seeing Kyron Williams stiff arm a dude on his ass, with a single hand and house it for 91 yards. That was pretty cool. So it was a good weekend, and definitely a cool environment. One of the cooler ones I've been to.
Oh, it's good it lived up to the hype. I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it for sure. I enjoyed it when I went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they have the light show when you went?
No, I think that's pretty new.
Yeah, it's cool, but honestly, I think like ASU's was better.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame's still getting used to theirs, but it's got potential to be really cool. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that run was nasty.
Yeah, it was cool.
For those who didn't tune in last week, Brady was at the Notre Dame North Carolina game, and also he's currently in the middle of a 4-week stretch in which he's going to 4 different college football games. Well, obviously different college football games, but Brady, where are you off to next week for next week's game, or I guess this week's game?
Three stadiums in 4 weeks. 3 weeks ago, I was at the Indiana versus Michigan State game at IU. 2 weeks ago was IU Ohio State. I wouldn't call that a game, but it was at IU. Last week was North Carolina at Notre Dame, and this week, everybody's favorite matchup, USC at ASU. So I'm in for Scottsdale right now. I'm in Tempe this weekend, so hopefully I don't get run over.
There you go. You just need to find Nikhil and one Joe Camparelli there. But guys, all right.
I'm looking for Joe.
let's kick things underway. So again, we're going to be diving into the college football playoff rankings. Here is the latest one from this past weekend. So again, if you haven't seen them, here is the top 25. Looks very different than the AP polls. So guys, let's just, kind of pretty much start from the beginning, work our way up. Again, if you guys have any comments, questions, anything about the college football playoff rankings, you guys can donate to the super chat. You can hear our thoughts on a certain ranking. If you have questions on how things are done, anything like that, feel free to hit us up in the super chat. We'll throw your question on the screen and we will answer. But again, if you guys have anything you'd like to hear, our thoughts on, let us know down there in the chat as well. So guys, let's kick things off just with the top 4 because that's, the most important. That's the most basic. No surprise at number 1, Georgia. That made the most sense. But number 2, you can make the case that Alabama's the second best team, but it was a bit of a surprise to see the Crimson Tide hop over some of these teams that they were behind in the AP poll, coming in at number 2. And then, of course, you got Michigan State at number 3, Oregon at number 4. Lyle, I'll throw it to you first. Overall, what are your thoughts on this top 4? What did the committee get right? What did they get wrong? And if you had a vote, how would you personally rank your top 4 teams in the country?
I think Georgia, Bama 1-2 is okay. And I know some people weren't happy about Alabama being this high because they've already lost, and other teams, you could argue, with their undefeated record, maybe should be rewarded more than an Alabama team that lost the game that they should have won. Look, if we're going to talk about the 2 best teams in the sport, it's Georgia and Alabama. I don't think there's many people who are going to try and dispute that, where if you're simply talking about who are the 2 strongest teams in the sport are, then it's those 2 teams. After that is where it kind of gets interesting. I don't know how in-depth I want to go on each of these teams because I'm sure we're going to dissect a lot of these teams as we go on throughout the show. All I'll say about Michigan State is, look, they're undefeated, and Kenneth Walker's Heisman hype really seemed like it picked up this weekend. My only question is still, however, is the rest of the Michigan State team actually this good? Because Michigan State was ranked in the top 4 a few years ago, and they got absolutely dismantled when they played Alabama in 2015 in the college football playoff. I don't know. This feels like it's kind of a similar team where they might earn the right to get there, but it may not be pretty when they do. And then Cincinnati. I'm sure we're going to break them down more, but I just kind of feel bad for them just because I just don't know what else they're supposed to do. It just feels like that the hill is so high, and the expectation that the committee set for them is almost to the point where it's unattainable, just because after what they've done last year and what they've done this year, to start these rankings ranked 6th, they now need other teams to lose. So now they're going to be in an uphill battle the rest of the way. And it's just kind of unfortunate because they had some good games on their schedule. They beat Notre Dame. They're undefeated, but this is where they sit. So I guess initially, those were my thoughts about the first rankings. I'll leave Oregon, Ohio State up for grabs. I'm sure Josh will have some thoughts on that one when he gets in here, but those were my reactions.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll save the Oregon discussion because I know once Josh gets in here, he'll have plenty to say in regards to that, so we can hold off on that. So, Brady, do you want to give your quick thoughts on 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, or should I go through a few super chats really quickly before you go?
I've got some quick thoughts, and I'll keep it quick. But what you said at the beginning of the show, Blake, is something that we've done in years past. Is we try to stay away from the AP poll. This is one of the first times I think the AP poll has it more right than the committee. I truly do. If you're looking at wins, losses, if you're looking at everything, I think the AP poll has it closer in regards to the top 4. I would say maybe call it top 7, because that's where Oregon is sitting in the AP poll. I think the AP poll has it right this week. Obviously, what we've seen in every year, the college football playoff rankings have been a thing, is at least one team hasn't made it from the initial 4 rankings. So there's a lot of time left, but for this to be your first and how different it is from the AP poll, I think was a pretty big hindrance.
Yeah, usually for the most part, there are differences between the playoff rankings and the AP poll, but I don't remember one being this drastic of a difference. You got teams that are ranked completely different spots than in the AP poll. I think the AP poll had 6 non-Power 5 schools that were ranked, whereas this one, Cincinnati, I believe, or Cincinnati, Fresno State, San Diego State, they're the only non-Power 5s that are ranked. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of differences. And, yeah, normally we like to bash on the AP poll because there have been times when they've looked really bad. But for the most part this year, and again, we've had shows where we haven't really, like, gone in depth with the rankings. But I think we've discussed, like, the AP poll has been a lot better this year. They've had a lot more, I guess, not out there rankings like in years past. And again, this is only the first week, but there are some crazy differences that, again, we haven't necessarily had in years past. What's up, Brady?
I'm just saying I've got one more thing for the rankings as a whole. Is if you're done, I'll jump into one more thing as the rankings as a whole, Blake.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
you care? I was going to say, how in the hell are teams, let's call it, I'm not going to count Oregon, Alabama, or Ohio State. How in the hell are teams 10 through 25 ranked with 1 loss and UTSA with 0 losses not ranked? Put them at 25 for all I care. But how are they not ranked?
Well, because we've clearly seen, I mean, Fresno State, San Diego State, they have, years and years of kind of backing that up. And what we've seen, the group of 5 teams that aren't ranked, they're kind of new to this. Again, UTSA, this is the best start to any season in the program's history. They're undefeated. And it goes to show that the committee just doesn't, necessarily take them seriously. SMU, they're probably one of the better group of 5 teams. They lost a close one to Houston this week. They're not ranked. Louisiana, I think their only loss on the year was week 1 to Texas. They've won every game since. They're not ranked. And again, with Coastal Carolina, who they proved it last year, they did lose, last week to Appalachian State, but they have a 2-year track record of being fantastic. They're not ranked. So it just goes to show the committee. And as we see with Cincinnati, which we'll get to after the Super Chats, they just, you got to be nearly perfect. If you're a group of 5 team, you have to be nearly perfect. And if you're not, well, you got to pay. Because I believe San Diego State, up to this point, I think they might still be undefeated. They might have 1 loss. I know Fresno State has 1 loss on the season all the way back in week 1 against Oregon, but you got to be perfect. You got to be perfect. I'm going to go.
Teams 10 through 25 all have at least 1 loss.
Yeah. Team at 17 has 3 losses. So who knows there? Luke Dog McTight says Brady should go to the Civil War at Autzen Stadium. Brady, I think we've all been to Autzen Stadium for a game, but I don't believe any of us have been there for a Civil War game, which actually, no, it's not the Civil War now. We got to be correct. I think it's just the battle of the War of Oregonians.
Oregonians. Yeah, I have been to Autzen. That was awesome. I went when ASU played on my freshman year, so that was a good time. Real good time.
Yeah, no, Autzen's a fun time. And this next one comes from Steven Vitatoro. That's a fun last name to say. Also, apologies to Lyle, who's getting the Mike Wazowski treatment from Monsters Inc. right now.
No,
there he goes.
I'm
right
going
there.
back just because you said Mike Wazowski treatment. That's good.
Here, we can do, I guess, kind of like that. And there we go. We're blocking him. We're blocking him right there. But any week that Wake Forest can make the playoffs. They're currently undefeated. They're one of, 6 or 7 undefeated teams currently left in college football. I mean, they could run the show, win the ACC. So, I mean, what percentage chance do you guys think Wake Forest has of making a run and making the playoff? I think they're ranked. What are they ranked? 8th? I want to check this real quick.
9.
Or they're ranked number 9. So, what do you guys think?
I feel like it's about 5%. I mean, we're talking about a team that's going to have no ranked wins in an ACC that's really bad this year. And then you look at their last couple games. I mean, they barely beat a Syracuse team in overtime that's 500. And the week before that, they won by 3 against a Louisville team that's barely over 500. So I don't know. I think they've got probably a bigger uphill battle than Cincinnati does, to be totally honest. And I was honestly shocked they were ranked this high in the first rankings. I thought they'd be somewhere between like 12 and 15 just because they're not going to play anybody and they haven't played anybody to this point. I think the odds are pretty slim.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Lyle. I don't see much of a shot for them. Things have to really get shaken up at from the top, call it top 10. I think, if you're looking at there, I think hell, Notre Dame might have a better shot of making it than Wake Forest just via wins and quality of wins and such. But I don't think Wake Forest has a shot. They've looked really good this year. It'll be great to see them in a New Year's Six bowl, call it the Citrus Bowl or whatever it may be. I don't even know.
Right.
But kudos to them for what they've done. But I don't think it's warranted for a playoff spot.
Right. Where's Captain Rob when you need him? For years we
seriously.
just dunk on Wake Forest, and now that they're a top 10 team, he's nowhere to be found. Again, if you guys have questions like that, you want to hear our thoughts on, you guys can donate to the super chat. However much you'd like to donate helps support the show on a week-to-week basis. We'll answer your question. We'll talk about hypotheticals. So any thoughts you have about the college football playoff rankings, any questions, feel free to hit us up in the super chat. We'll answer your questions if you guys have some. Again, we're going to be talking about Oregon at number 4, Ohio State at number 5 once Josh hops on. But guys, I think this is a good time now because I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments are discussing Cincinnati. So I feel like that's, the biggest takeaway I guess I had from these rankings. So let's talk about Cincinnati. Last season they went undefeated. Then they played Georgia, in what was it? The Sugar Bowl? Did they play him last year? The Sugar Bowl. So they played him in the Sugar Bowl, lost on a game-winning field goal. Should have beaten Georgia, but awful clock management at the end. They lost. They've been perfect so far this season. They have that signature win on the road at Notre Dame, which, in my opinion, is probably a top 3, top 4 win so far, among all college football teams this year. They did struggle the last 2 weeks against some pretty beatable teams. They were favored by 28 points in both games. I think they won by 7 and 1 against Navy. Then when they played Tulane, I think they won by like 19. So kind of shaky there, but I believe they were number 2 in the past AP poll from this past week. Yeah, Justice for Cincinnati right there. So you go for number 2 in the AP poll, and they come in at number 6 in the college football playoff rankings. Last year, they were saying Cincinnati, they got to play someone. They got to show that they can hang with the big dogs. They showed they can hang with Georgia. They showed that they can hang with Notre Dame, who I know we're not high on, but Notre Dame is still a top 10 team. And I think South Bend is probably, I'm not going to say top 3, but definitely top 6 or 7 toughest environments, I think, in college football for a road team. That's not an easy win. They went and they pretty much dominated the entire game. Again, they're undefeated. So at this point, I think it is a major slap in the face to Cincinnati. They didn't necessarily have to be in a 2, but the fact they're not one of the top 4 teams, I thought that was laughable. I thought that was a joke. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say on Cincinnati coming in at number 6 in this first edition of the college football playoff rankings.
I was disappointed, but it's hard to really be surprised. Like, even if you're a Cincinnati fan, I know you wanted to see these guys in the top 4, but after everything we've seen with how the committee works and how they unveil these rankings each week, it's just hard to be shocked. I don't agree with it, but I'm just not shocked by it, because it's pretty clear that they just do not value group of 5 teams, and the hill you have to climb to get into that top 4 as a group of 5 team is pretty high. And the example I'd give is, you guys remember that 2016 Houston team with Greg Ward? Well, they had 2 top 25 wins on their schedule. They had 2 ranked wins, and they were right in the thick of the playoff race until the end of the year, if I remember right. And I feel like that's the committee standard, is you have to have 2 ranked wins to really wow the committee and earn the respect to get yourself into the top 4. Just because if you're Cincinnati, looking at their schedule this year, they've got the Notre Dame win. Indiana hasn't done them any favors because Indiana hasn't been very good this year. And other than that, they don't really have any tough games. So again, I don't agree. Cincinnati should be in the top 4. But if you're just looking at it from the committee's perspective and how they unveil these rankings, I think that's how it probably goes. And it's just a shame, because I don't need to see one of these teams like Michigan State or Oklahoma, in my opinion, get the 4th spot and just lose by a million. I'd love to see Cincinnati in there. I'd love to see them get their fair shot, or see any group of 5 team get their fair shot for that matter. I mean, what it all comes down to is, I'm just tired of the decision of the college football playoff and the fate of college football being subjective. Like, these automatic bids just cannot come fast enough. I hate the 4 teams. I hate the fact that it's a 12-person committee that makes the decision for everybody. I just want to see these automatic bids. So just like in every other sport, you know that if you earn it, you earn it, and you know what you have to do. It's not, oh, let's hope somebody likes us, and hopefully somebody likes our strength of schedule and likes what they've seen on tape. Just because for teams like Cincinnati, this is just going to keep happening.
I got nothing else to say. Lyle just nailed that. The one thing I do have to say is 11 of the 12 committee members are morons. Paula, you can do no wrong. Paula can do no wrong.
That's
Right.
fair.
Even
That's
if
fair.
she's the one that put Oregon at 4, Paula can do no wrong.
Yeah. So, Lyle pretty much hit everything spot on. He nailed everything. Like I said, I do think, do you guys think if the last 2 weeks when Cincinnati played Navy and Tulane, if Cincinnati beats them by like 35-40, do you think there's a chance they're in the top 4? Do you think that them, mainly against Navy, because Tulane, again, I think they ended up winning by 19 or 20, but that Navy one, they only won by 7. Do you think those 2 games, them struggling, is what ultimately maybe cost them the fact that, they couldn't really necessarily put away these 1-win teams?
I think so. And I think if they had blown both those teams out, the rankings might be different right now. But them playing close with an inferior team in any one of these games, I think gave the committee the out that they were looking for.
I also agree. I think they were. I think they were too close. Those were marquee wins. I think what the committee looks at is obviously recency bias of years, but look at weeks. So how they perform the weeks leading into those first rankings, and I think if those 2 wins were like 7 and 12 apiece. I don't remember exactly what their margin was for those, but say they were 17 plus point wins each week, I think that puts them higher.
Yeah.
I heard it.
We heard the plop. So we bring in our Ontario Reign analyst, Josh Schaefer. So we will get Josh. We specifically saved the Oregon-Ohio State discussion for you. We held off on it. We provided some thoughts on Cincinnati, but one thing I do want to talk about just briefly before we move on to the Oregon-Ohio State debate, all that kind of thing, is the fact that, and we've seen this year in, year out, and I say it every year, if there was just some sort of consistency in these rankings where the playoff committee came out and they said, listen, the thing we value most is strength of schedule. The thing we value second most is head-to-head wins. The thing we value third most is, how you play against the teams you're going to beat. It seems like every year there's entirely something different that they value that's completely differently ranked than in years past because, they've talked about this year. Head-to-head wins is like what we, look at the most. Again, Cincinnati has one of the best head-to-head wins all season, and they're ranked number 6. Whereas Oregon probably has the best head-to-head win, and they come in at number 4. So it's like if you value head-to-head wins the most important, then Cincinnati should be over Ohio State. If you value strength of schedule the most, then you should have a team like Ohio State over Oregon, who is playing much better competition in the Big Ten. So that's my only thing that I just strongly disagree with the playoff committee on a year-to-year basis. Have a couple of reasons where you rank them 1, 2, 3, which is most important, and stick with them. Because again, in years past, it seems like it's entirely different. It seems like, being undefeated is what we value more. But obviously this year, it doesn't matter if you're undefeated because Oklahoma, they're ranked number 8. Wake Forest, they're ranked number 9. And as Brady said earlier in the show, UTSA, who is one of like 5 or 6 undefeated teams, they're not even ranked in the top 25. So I just want consistency from the playoff committee. Tell us what you value the most, because I don't even think the playoff committee knows what they look at the most. Like, pick something that is the top priority, stick with it, and let us know. Because if they were to come out and say, like, listen, we value strength of schedule the most when it comes down to this, then okay, you have some reason to have Cincinnati at 6. But to say that you strongly look at head-to-head and that outcome, it just doesn't make any sense. So those are just my quick 2 cents. But let's talk about now Oregon at number 4, Ohio State at number 5. And this is, I think Cincinnati, that was the one that upset me the most. But as Lyle explained it perfectly, not really surprising. It makes kind of sense because also I believe Cincinnati at 6 is still officially the highest ranking for a group of 5 team in these playoff rankings. So Cincinnati, they're still able to push their way up a little. But Oregon coming in at number 4, Ohio State coming in at number 5. Oregon obviously is ranked 1 spot higher than Ohio State because they have that head-to-head win, which, again, is still, maybe you can make the case, the best head-to-head win so far in college football this season. But we support the Pac-12. We know that it gets a lot of crap, and we try our best every week to defend the Pac-12. But I think the 4 of us can agree there is no realm out there in which Oregon is the 4th best team in the country right now. They do have a great win over Ohio State, Their opening weekend win against Fresno State, in which they barely won, is definitely looking a little better now that Fresno State is ranked. But I just don't know how you can look at Oregon, what they've done the last few weeks. They lost to a pretty bad Stanford team. And if you want to know how bad Stanford is, it led to a head coach at one of the more prestigious universities in college football being fired. That's how bad Stanford is. And they've done nothing since. They barely beat Cal at home a couple of weeks ago. I think Cal had the ball on like the 5-yard line, 4th and goal, as time was getting ready to expire, and they turned the ball over. I am blown away by Oregon coming in at number 4. I think Ohio State, even though they lost to them, I think Ohio State's a better team. I think Cincinnati's a better team. Michigan is a drive away from being the number 3 team in the country. So I know since Josh hasn't gotten to share any thoughts on his college football playoff rankings, he was pretty vocal about it on Twitter. Josh, I'll throw it to you. Your thoughts on the Oregon Ducks coming in at number 4 in the rankings?
I mean, this is a joke. It's a joke of a ranking. I get that it's the first one, but come on, guys. Every single year, here's something that I have said every single year. Okay, here's week 1. You've set the precedent in college football playoff. This is what we expect for the rest of your rankings for this season. I'm done with that, guys. Year by year, there's no precedent. There's no consistency. You say you value head-to-head wins, and then 2 weeks later, you don't. You say you value strength of schedule. 2 weeks later, you don't. That's a conversation we had last year where it's like, okay, yeah, you want to say that Cincinnati doesn't have a strength of schedule? Well, okay, let's actually compare it. You put teams in the playoff who did not have a strength of schedule that was better than Cincinnati's. Like, sorry, the precedent that you have set does not matter. And right now what they're trying to say is that head-to-head wins matter, right, when Cincinnati's doesn't matter. Head-to-head wins, what about head-to-head losses? Like, again, Oregon lost to Stanford. And I get that Alabama lost to, who they lose to, Texas A&M. Yeah, nobody thinks that Texas A&M is better than Alabama. And I'm sorry, Oregon beat Ohio State. Oregon is not better than Ohio State. They had a very good win. They deserve the win. I don't think they're better than them. And so that's what I'm looking at right now. I think the top 4 is a joke. I think I'd like to reiterate something that Blake said last week when we picked the Michigan State game, which was, hey, both these teams are undefeated. They're deserving of their rankings. I don't think they're very good. It's like, all right, I'm fine with Michigan State being in there. I don't think they're very good. But we've gotten to a point where we mention this every week. Like, there are 2 teams in college football right now, and it's Georgia and Alabama, and it's everybody else. So that's kind of where I sit. In terms of Oregon and Ohio State, I'm gonna avoid the word precedent, but based off of this first ranking, what I'm kind of understanding is until Oregon loses a game, until Ohio State loses a game, another game for both of these teams, they will be 1 and 2. Wherever they're put, Oregon's first, Ohio State's second. It doesn't matter where they are. So that's what I'm expecting to see from this point moving forward. If Oregon somehow jumps up to number 1, let's say, Ohio State's going to be 2. As long as both of those teams keep winning, they're going to be Oregon, Ohio State in the rankings every single week from here on out, and I don't see that changing.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to throw in, I don't have it to put on the screen, but I want to read off a Matt Berry tweet that we were talking about from this past weekend. Oregon beat Ohio State, but as I said on my couch, they're not better than Ohio State. Just like Arkansas isn't a better team than Texas A&M. Stanford isn't a better team than Oregon. They won the game. It doesn't mean they're better. And I get it. You go head to head. If you come out on top, you were the better team that game, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you were the better team, that you're the better team now. The thing about the college football playoff rankings, and we've said this in years past, the whole point of it is to have the 4 best teams in the college football playoff. The 4 best teams you think are playing the best football. Oregon, Ohio State was struggling at the beginning of the year, and I've said this and I'll say this again. If Oregon were to play Ohio State again right now, I think Ohio State wins by 3 touchdowns at least. I think Ohio State is a significantly better team than Oregon at the moment right now. And again, it's just the thing, yeah. You look at these head-to-head matchups. Arkansas, they beat Texas A&M. Is Arkansas a better team than Texas A&M? Well, looking at these rankings, you have A&M ranked in the top 15. Arkansas is nowhere to be found. So, necessarily, I get that head-to-head wins are important, but, I just think that we value head-to-head wins too much, where that's the sole reason for doing it. Because, again, what's the case for Cincinnati? They're undefeated. Oregon, they have a good win. They have a loss. Do you value teams with no loss? Like, there's no such thing as a good loss. We've learned that there's no such thing as a good loss because a loss is a loss. And Oregon, theirs is to Stanford. So I don't necessarily get it. But Brady, Lyle, I'll throw it to you guys so you guys can share your thoughts on, again, Oregon being ahead of Ohio State, and just being over teams like Cincinnati for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think Oregon's currently better than Ohio State. I certainly think if they played again, Ohio State would win. Then you just look at what the matchup would be. I mean, if Oregon plays Georgia, I can tell you right now exactly what Georgia's going to do. They're going to stack the box for 60 minutes. They're going to tell Anthony Brown, if you want any shot of beating us, you're going to have to throw the ball downfield, which he's not capable of doing against that defense. And Georgia's going to steamroll them. Like, I think Ohio State and C.J. Stroud and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and their two running backs have a much better chance than that Oregon offense. So if you're talking about just who's the better team, I think it has to be Ohio State from where we stand right now. And again, I'm just going back to what I said a few minutes ago when we were talking about Cincinnati. Number one, like, I'm just tired of these rankings being subjective. I cannot wait for these automatic bids. I cannot wait for the playoff to expand just so there is an actual format in place. Because, I mean, the simple truth of the matter is college football is the best regular season in all of sports, and it is the worst postseason because, and part of that is affected by that there's a subjective committee making the decisions instead of a format in place. And because of that, we have decisions like Cincinnati at 6, we have Oregon over Ohio State, and people are mad about it, where you could just have a set format and everybody would know the expectation.
The BCS was better.
Well, but was that really so great either? I mean, maybe it was better. But...
My argument was last year, and I believe was in the offseason, give me the BCS to determine a top 4. I'd rather have that than this.
Yeah, I just never know how I just don't know how I ever felt about computers making decisions, because just like how we don't know what the college football playoff committee puts into their decisions, I have no idea how those computers calculated decisions when they spit out those top 4 teams or top 2 teams. So
that's fair, but those matchups were always so much better. And I don't remember what the exact stat was, but we've already had more blowouts in the college football playoff than we had in like the BCS era in those major games. And I don't remember what the exact number was, so I'm not going to say that with like total confidence, but there was a whole thread on Twitter from a credible source that was talking about how the BCS gave you better games, better matchups, and better results than anything we've seen in the college football playoff.
Yeah, so maybe it's the lesser of two evils if we're just talking about the committee versus the BCS. So maybe the BCS was better. I mean, I guess I'm not one to have a definitive answer on that, but simple truth is, again, it's time to expand the playoff and it's time to have a format, because these rankings it's not fun for anybody really, I guess, unless you're like a Georgia or Alabama.
Right. So, yeah, a few final things before we wrap up our playoff discussion. Just want to quickly get your thoughts on a few things. Aside from, the top 8, 9, 10 that we've kind of dissected, were there any other things that stood out for you guys in the rankings? Anything from 11 to 25 that you guys have any quick thoughts that you guys want to share?
Well, nobody in the Pac-12, and rightfully so, because it's just crazy this year. I think it is worth pointing out that there are some teams in here, some Power 5 teams that I think are good but not great. I'm glad Fresno State and San Diego State got in there as 2 Group of 5 schools. But at the same time, I think there are some other Group of 5 schools that probably could have been in consideration. And in fact, I think that there was somebody in the comments too who had said something about SMU. And like SMU and Houston, the last comment just now. So I don't think this was the first one I saw, but SMU and Houston got done dirty for sure. And I think like if you have those 2 guys ranked, those 2 teams ranked, those are 2. I don't see how you fit both of them in. But even if you put one of those teams in the rankings, that's another ranked win for Cincinnati that they now don't have. So,
Rank UTSA. That's all I gotta say. Chris Blackwood, UTSA was done dirty. Yes.
I guess if I had to pick one other thing throughout this top 25, it would be Mississippi State. And I guess the truth is that like we talked about earlier with some of the teams in the top 6, that clearly the committee favors head-to-head wins or ranked wins for that matter, because Mississippi State has a couple of really good ranked wins. So as a result, they put them higher than a lot of people thought they'd be. I guess that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, I just want to quickly throw up Mississippi State's like the weirdest, most random team because they're ranked 17. They have 3 losses. I mean, they this season have a win over NC State, who's ranked number 19. They have a win over Texas A&M, who's ranked 14, and they have a win over Kentucky, who's ranked 18. But they also have losses. They lost by 40 to Alabama. They lost to a pretty bad LSU team, and they lost to a not so good Memphis team. So again, is the committee valuing head-to-head wins? Obviously they are, because I don't know. Guys, before we move on to, or who's gonna go? I just heard a brief.
Say real quick, I think Wisconsin is a very good football team. Their defense this last week showed out. But a 3-loss team at 21, I do not like.
Yeah, I agree. Also, yeah, Josh, there was like some static coming from your end, so I just muted you for right now just because there was a little static. Guys, this comes from Flo Boy J. What needs to happen in Cincinnati's and Oklahoma's favor to at least make the top 4?
Do I sound okay?
Well, there's just some static when you talk, so it's fine then. But just when you're not, I just muted it so we don't hear it. But you're good to go.
I think Cincinnati needs to keep winning. Obviously, they've got no shot if they don't. And I guess same thing for Oklahoma, but I think Oklahoma might even need a little bit more help than Cincinnati, because at this point, what we've seen from Cincinnati is this ain't even on them at this point. Like, they can keep winning games. If they don't win out, then they won't have a shot. So, and that's understandable being a group of 5 school. You know, if you're a group of 5 and you don't win out, you're not going to have a shot at the playoffs, which is, you know, that's just the cards that they've been dealt at this point. So that's the situation they're in. But for everybody else ahead of them, the Big Ten we joke about the Big Ten all the time. It's just super competitive. It might not be the best or most explosive conference, but as of right now, you know, they have some pretty competitive teams. So you need Michigan State to lose, and Oregon, you know, the Pac-12 is all over the place. So if you're Cincinnati, I think you got to hope that at least 2 of those teams ahead of you lose. And, you know, we've seen some people in the comments, we'll probably get a question about this later again, talk about a 2-loss Bama team. Right now, I still think a 2-loss Bama team is better than a lot of the teams behind them. So, I mean, you want to hope Alabama loses, but I don't know if it matters. But I think you definitely want Michigan State and Oregon to lose, because you got 2 pretty good chances for a loss there, as opposed to Georgia and Bama.
Right.
I think you'd have to root for Georgia to beat Alabama, although that's another conversation in itself. And then I think you have to root for Ohio State to lose to Michigan State, because that would potentially give Cincinnati 2 spots to jump up and get into the playoffs. So that's probably the most likely path. I guess you could hope for another Oregon loss. They did lose to a Stanford team that's not very good. They could always lose again. It is the Pac-12 after all. So I guess if you're Cincinnati, that's probably your most logical route.
Yeah, so before we're gonna move on to our pick'ems to wrap up the show, but before we do that, guys, just one thing I want to throw your way. If you guys reach a member of the College Football Playoff Committee, in your top 3 order, so again, your 3 things that you value the most, 1 through 3, what would be what you guys look at when determining these rankings?
Number 1
overall
is
record, head-to-head win, strength of schedule.
I would probably go overall record, strength of schedule, and then head-to-head.
I think I'd go the same order as Josh.
Yeah, I think that's the basic one. I was just interested to see where you guys were at, what you kind of value the most, but it's kind of all the same, which I guess the playoff committee, for the most part, they're not. But then again, that's what makes college football the best. All right, guys, let's move on now to our pick'ems for the week, because Brady, unfortunately, has a fantastic Italian place to go have dinner at. So we're going to try to wrap these up quickly. Try to be done within the next 10 minutes so Brady can hit the hay. Here are the rankings headed into this week. I had a good lead over Brady when I was going through these pick'ems last week. I was up by 3, and then near the end, I just went on a cold streak. Brady went on a hot streak. He caught up and tied me. Josh is 2 points behind. Lyle, bud, time's starting to run out for you. You're starting to fall a little more behind. What's going on, man?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Breaks aren't going my way.
They truly are. All right, guys, we got about 12 games to get to this week. We'll wrap this up so Brady can go enjoy some Spinatos. Number 9, undefeated Wake Forest at North Carolina.
I'm muted, and which is good because I said that I was going to take Wake on the road by a field goal, but I've decided now after saying it out loud that it sounds weird, and I'm going to take the Tar Heels at home.
I thought I was going to be the only one because I was about to say, are we sure Wake Forest is even the best team in this matchup? Are we sure they're the better team between these two? I'm not so sure, and especially at UNC, it feels like trouble, so I'm going to take the Tar Heels.
I watched North Carolina play this last week. Sam Howell looked really good, actually, against Notre Dame. So I'm going to go with North Carolina. We're going 3 for 3.
This North Carolina team is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't know who you're going to get. I'll stick with the Wake Forest team and Deeks. I think they'll write it out. Sam Hartman's been one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season. Very underrated. Guys, we do have a super chat really quickly before we get to our next game that we got to get to really quick. Comes from Tanner. Opinion on Alabama getting a safety cushion with the SEC headquarters in Birmingham.
The NCAA headquarters are in Indianapolis, and IU gets no love, so that's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, just a little slightly different, Brady, but hey, respect to the Hoosier.
You know, when I came home today, I was going to put on my my Indiana Hoosier shirt, but decided that since it's ASU USC week and I'm going to be miserable on Saturday, I'd put something on this way.
Matches their jerseys for this weekend.
It sure does, Brady. It sure does.
Yeah, I mean,
hang on, pull up short rounds of comment. That's a great comment.
But I'll just say to answer Tanner's, we know that Alabama deep down is a top 2 or 3 team in college football, and if they somehow like lose by a field goal or something to Georgia, things are going to get very, very interesting. Trying to leave Alabama out of the college football playoff. Hey, what are we talking about right now? I'm 5 minutes behind, listening at 2 times the speed. He'll catch up because we have a pretty short show coming up for tonight. Number 5, Ohio State at Nebraska.
Ohio State on the road.
Yeah, I don't think this one's going to be close, Buckeyes.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, but I think Nebraska can make this one a little bit interesting. Liberty at number 16, Ole Miss.
I actually think this is going to be a fantastic game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. But I am going to stick with Matt Corral and the Rebs at home.
We could be talking about a potential battle for the number 1 pick in this game. I'm going to take Ole Miss at home. I think, like Josh said, it's going to be pretty high scoring, and I think it stays fairly close.
Number 1 pick, maybe not. Number 1 quarterback taken, I say yes. I've got Ole Miss at home.
I like Ole Miss, but take the over in this game, whatever it is. Matt Corral, Malik Willis. This is going to be a fun one. And again, I agree. I think these are the 2 top quarterback prospects entering next year's draft. Clemson at Louisville. I believe this is the first college football playoff ranking that did not contain Clemson. I think I saw that somewhere. Maybe it was Brady that sent that in the group chat. So yeah. Clemson, for the first time, now ranked in the college football playoff rankings.
Yeah, Clemson's just not very good this year. And I asked my roommate the other day, I said, who's been the more disappointing team? And I want a genuine answer, Clemson or USC? And he said Clemson, considering where they started, which I agree. But, I mean, at least they're above 500. What are they now? 5-3?
I think that sounds about right.
It doesn't matter. They'll get a win this week on the road in a game that is very boring, but I'm going to take the Tigers on the road.
Yeah, I've got Clemson.
Ever since DJ Uiagalelei started a Dr. Pepper commercial, he hasn't been focused on football, says an old person who's probably cranky about the NIL stuff happening. No, it's not all true. I'm going Clemson on the road.
Clemson can't score the ball. Louisville has a really good offense. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. What happened?
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
Your boy Mike White just got sidelined with an apparent wrist injury.
Oh, well.
Wait a minute. Who's the backup in that game? Because Flacco's inactive too. Which how does he still have a job? I don't know.
Hang on, let's check this out.
Well, yeah, let's.
That's depth chart. This will be great.
It's gonna be
It
some other
is
guy.
Josh Johnson.
What?
Whom?
I don't know him.
Who?
He went to San Diego. He was drafted in the 5th round in 2008.
Hang on, back up. When you say San Diego, you mean San Diego, not San Diego State.
San Diego.
Ah,
He's 35 years old.
The mighty Toreros.
He was drafted in 2008.
Good lord.
What round?
The 5th.
The 5th round. Hang on, sport reference time.
Good lord. Well, oh my god.
Sorry.
What a franchise.
Oh god.
Let's go,
All right.
Jets.
Yeah, Brady, if you guys somehow do not win this game, the Colts
Yeah.
should be relegated. Texas at
hang
Iowa
on.
State.
I'm going to take the Cyclones at home. See, it seems like a lot of these returning quarterbacks have been pretty disappointing this year. Howell, Slovis, Purdy, and not to say they've been bad, but just not as good as we expected. And I think Purdy goes off this week. I expect a big win for the Cyclones at home.
I agree. I'm going to go with Iowa State.
This is one of those things. This is one of those matchups that's always tough, and I feel like Texas has played really well. I just don't think they can get the monkey off their back this week, so I'm going to go with Iowa State. Nobody? Yeah. Nobody.
It was good. Well done. I thought it was good. I appreciate the joke. I mean, hopefully the kid's all right, so it makes the joke a little funnier, but hey, there you go.
Did you guys really look into this story? Because it is wild.
Yeah.
Wild. It's the kid's fault. He was in their backyard.
What's her name? Pole Shotter or whatever her nickname is. Her club name
is Pole Assassin.
The Pole Assassin.
Yes.
All right, guys. Number 3, Michigan State at Purdue.
Sparty on the road. Kenneth Walker, 4 tuds.
4?
I'm going to take. I don't know. I'll be interested to see if George Karlaftis has an impact on this game at all for Purdue, but ultimately, I think Michigan State wins.
Karlaftis is really good.
He's really good.
Really good.
And he's not really talking. Yeah. He's not really talked about.
He's not talked about.
Yeah.
No. I got Michigan State in this game. I think Purdue's got 2 guys that they're relying on, and that's Karlaftis on defense and David Bell on offense, but they're both very spurty, as in they have their moments but aren't consistent throughout the year. So I'm going to go with Michigan State.
We saw Purdue, upset one Big Ten powerhouse a couple weeks ago on the road. Purdue at home. I don't know if this is a day or night game. Brady, if you can quickly get me the time, because that's going to determine who I go with in this game.
Purdue football. Game starts at hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Name unavailable is calling. The game starts at 3:30 Arizona time, so 6 Eastern.
It's a night game. I'm taking Purdue. Number 12 Baylor. Number 12 Baylor at TCU.
Baylor. Sick 'em.
Give me Baylor.
I've got Baylor. Also, by the way, Josh Johnson played for the San Diego Fleet and also the Los Angeles Wildcats in the AAF
go
and
Cats!
NFL,
Hang on. It's Josh Johnson that's the backup?
Yeah.
I can't believe. Sorry, I thought you said something else for the last name. Yeah, I know him. That dude's a journeyman, but I can't believe he's still in the league.
He played games in the NFL in 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18, and now 21.
Good Lord.
Wow. Baylor.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baylor in this one. Did you guys hear who is interviewing for the TCU head coach position? Deion Sanders. So
They want to talk to him. They want to talk to him.
there you go. Number 17, Mississippi State at Arkansas.
Home game for Arkansas. I'm going to take the Hogs in this one.
High scoring, but I'll go Mississippi State.
I'm going to go Mississippi State. Also, I think high scoring.
I'll go Arkansas. Seems like it's been a while since we heard from them. They'll bounce back this week. Number 11, Oklahoma State at the Fighting Ron Wolfleys.
The 1 year where I wasn't very high on Oklahoma State, they've actually been pretty darn good. So I'm going to take the Pokes on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State.
I'm going to go with West Virginia at home in the upset.
You know me, guys. Always got to take the Fighting Ron Wolfleys whenever I get a chance. Number 19, NC State at Florida State, who low-key, quietly has kind of been looking good in recent weeks. NC State's only favored by 2.5 in this game. So a lot of respect coming to the Noles in this game.
Let's see. What time does this game start?
Does it matter?
Yes. Yes. Brady, get on that for us.
What do you think I am? Some stat guy?
Yeah.
These are your duties as executive producer.
Yeah. So is this. The game starts at 4 p.m. So 7 p.m. So it's a night game.
Ooh, it's a night game at Doak Campbell. That makes me want to pick Florida State, but I'm still going to pick NC State.
Yeah, I'm going to go NC State.
I'm also going to go NC State.
Yeah, I'll go NC State. I can't pick Florida.
Don't care.
All right.
Hello.
You know, Brady, why don't you just host the rest of the show?
He's all mad. Oh, hi, Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, hi, Mom. Hi,
Hello.
All right, go on, Blake. Sorry, executive producer.
Tennessee at number 18, Kentucky.
I'm going to take Kentucky at home.
Yeah, sure.
Brady, excuse me, I'm speaking.
Sorry, I was muted.
I thought Brady refused the game. I was like, Tennessee, Kentucky. No.
No. I'm going to take Kentucky at home. Tennessee, I don't know. I think they're very hit or miss, and my feelings toward them are very up and down. I'm going to go with Kentucky at home. A little bit of a rivalry game, so I'm going to roll with the Wildcats. Wildcats get you ahead in the game.
I've got Kentucky at home.
I'm going to go with Kentucky at home.
I'll go Kentucky, but this Tennessee team is weird. They're like good one game, they're awful the next. Who knows? Best game of the weekend, number 13 Auburn at number 14 Texas A&M.
I'm going to go with TAMU this week. I'm just not – I don't know. This is a good SEC battle. I like the fact that this is at home for the Aggies, so I'm going to roll with Texas A&M.
I've got A&M. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry.
I've got A&M at home too. I don't think that this Auburn team is all that otherworldly.
You know, we've only been doing this order for 5 seasons now, and Brady just messed it up, and no one's going to bring that up.
I said I jumped the gun. Someone walked by, got distracted. Blame people.
I will.
Y'all thought I was going to go an entire pick'em without doing this.
I didn't.
I've got Auburn in this game because why, Lyle?
Because why not?
No, because Bo Nix is their quarterback. Auburn.
You got me.
I never want to pick Auburn, but like Bo Nix has been pulling some random wins out of his cap this year. I hate to do it. I'm taking Bo Nix. I have to. Oh, sounded like a plane landing in Scottsdale. All right, guys, the worst of the worst. We got Rhode Island at UMass.
Well, guys, I'm going to try to not be condescending and bring something to the stream. So I'm going to provide you guys with some analysis, and that is that Rhode Island is just better than UMass. So I'm going to go with the Rams because whose house? Rams' house. Rams.
I don't think I could ever pick UMass to win a game unless maybe they were playing Vandy, which they did earlier this year, or UConn, in which case I can't remember who I picked in those games. But I mean, those three teams have to be like just about the worst three teams in the country. And if another team's going up against them, I'm probably picking them. So I'm going to take Rhode Island.
I don't care. Let's go UMass. Let's go UMass at home. The minute
God.
In the final minute, so the minute.
Rhode Island, because I'm never going to pick Rhode Island again in my life on the show. Also, Josh, I loved your comment. It sounded like a very familiar comment, but I enjoyed hearing it coming from you. Final one, guys. We got USC at Arizona State. This was supposed to be the game that was going to determine the South at the beginning of the year. It was looking like that after week one, and then
stretched out a little.
It just hit the fan. Oh yes, the legend.
Lee Corso.
There you go. Sorry, blame Sandy. He distracted me.
The rumor of my demise is greatly exaggerated.
What? Go on, Josh. You're muted.
I just clicked unmute. I don't know what happened. I've got my ASU shirt on. I've got the USC jacket on. And guys, frankly, I just do not care. I mean, this game, I can't be bothered with this week's game. I'm not going. I'm going to be sitting on my couch. My roommate's going, so I'll be by myself watching this. I'll be miserable the whole time. And you know what? Without Drake Jackson, the best wide receiver in the country, Drake Jackson's playing. Without Drake London, the best receiver in the country, I think USC goes in and wins by a touchdown. I just don't. I am so out on this ASU team right now. I just think that there's a lot of problems at the moment, and the on-field talent does not match the product lately. And I think that's been evident, and I think they're the most undisciplined team in the country, which used to be USC. So I think SC goes in. I actually do think it's a good game, despite both teams being not very good. I think we get a good game, but I think SC pulls it out.
I think we get a close game. I think there's going to be some times where it gets really, really sloppy. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 turnovers, if we're going to be honest. I think there's going to be a lot of penalties. Against my better judgment, I'm going to take ASU, which is unbelievable to say after they lost to a Washington State team where they were favored by more than, or just about 2 touchdowns. I don't know. Like Josh said, both these teams have been extremely, extremely disappointing, like throughout the entire year. And I think as a result, it's going to be displayed this weekend. I'll take ASU by 4.
I also will be at the game this weekend. My 4th in 4 weeks. I'll let Sandy, who are we picking?
ASU.
All right. Sandy said it. We're going to go ASU. So if Sandy says it, it goes, right?
What is that? What's Sandy drinking tonight?
Stella. What else? That's what he.
Oh, fantastic. He needs a chalice for it, though.
Yeah, of course.
You need a chalice for it. Brady, remember when I had my lock of the year in Shohei versus Joey Gallo in the finals for the Home Run Derby?
Yep.
Throw that out the window because ASU is a -8.5. Whatever you got, if you can find some spare change in your couch, if you can ask your girlfriend for a few bucks, put that on USC +8.5 because ASU has yet to cover a game this season, and I think that trend's going to continue. I'm taking USC.
I'm putting all of my super chat money from this year, which we've gotten Venmo, which is like I think none to this point. So I'm going to take all of our super chat money and put it on USC.
There you go, because it's not going to be pretty. It's a night game this weekend, right? At least for your sake.
7:30.
Okay, so
Blake,
there
you're
you
not
go.
going, right?
No, I'm not going.
I wanted to make it out, but we have a 3:00 puck drop the next day, and I just wouldn't make it.
Not with
if it's
that
a night game.
There's just no way.
Well, you know what? After I've this year, I hit 2 football games in one day in the same city, and this past weekend I hit a Kings game and a USC game. Saw all of both in one day. So I guess I just lacked the effort. I don't know. I just guess I wasn't up to it this week.
Hey, don't be sorry. Just be better. Well, that wraps up this
Put
week's
that on a
edition.
t-shirt. That's incredible.
You've never heard that saying?
I have, and I think
Oh.
it needs to be on a t-shirt.
Oh. Well, that wraps up this week's show. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at the @HHShow_. Unfortunately, no one won our money last week in the Ole Miss Auburn game. I think one person got one of the scores right. It was just they missed out on the other. So maybe we'll do another one where
Let's
you
do
can
it,
potential
let's do it
money.
for ASU USC this week.
All right. Make the score prediction for ASU USC. Follow us on Twitter at the @HHShow_. If you guys have the correct score prediction, the correct winner, we'll send you money, or we'll send you Brady's leftover spinatos from this weekend.
I'm
Either
doubling my investment into it, Blake.
Oh, wow. All right. We got some big ballers coming up now. So if you guys want to win money, follow us on Twitter at the @HHShow_. Let me find that little graphic. There you go. Follow us there. I'll make sure I tweet it Friday night. I won't forget, and not Saturday afternoon. You guys can win some money if you guys correctly guess the score and the winner. Guys, any parting words before we head out for the weekend?
Brady, you're going down in fantasy this week. I don't care if Jonathan Taylor already has 20 points in the first quarter.
Did he get a second?
No, but he's got
They're on
18 points.
They're on the 4 right now, and they're probably going to feed him.
No, they're going to throw it to Mike Pittman.
If anything, it's going to be Big Mo Alley Cox.
No.
Make sure you say thank you for Pizza Friends.
We do every time. Lyle can back me up.
I'm pretty sure we said thanks.
I literally shook his hand. We locked eyes, and I said, David, thank you. And we had a moment there. He had this crazy look in his eye, and at one point, he said, thank you, Blake.
Oh, let's get it.
All right, guys.
You know, I haven't said anything to Lyle all night. Lyle, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking.
All right. Well, that's when you know it's a great show and things start getting off the rail.
This was our most clusterfuckery show. Oops, excuse me.
Okay. And for Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, our executive producer, Brady Klein, I'm your host for the evening, Blake Harris. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter to win some potential money. We'll see you back at some point next week for a potential show. We'll see. I don't know if Brady's ever going to be back. I might never put on this headset again. I pride myself as a man of faith. There's a deep drive in the field by Nick Castellanos. That makes it a 4-0 ball game. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in our next show.